Everybody thinks the Bible is a set of laws to govern your bad behavior, to prevent you from destroying the world, or to get you to heaven, whatever. No, God is the one who's needy, and He told us what He needs in the Bible. It's all a description of Him, what He loves, what He hates, what gives Him pleasure, what makes Him angry. It's an autobiography of God.
Hey, welcome back to the Awe Shift podcast. As always, I'm your host, Anthony Trucks, and we get the amazing opportunity to interview successful people and find out how they made shift happen. And maybe about a month or so ago, I got this email in, and the team sent it to me, and they're like, "Hey, you know this person?" I said, "Never heard of them." And so we kind of did our due diligence to find out who this was, and the individual is world renowned, quite literally, as a lecturer, as an author, as a philosopher. And if you know me, I love the mind and how people think and what goes on. And so, philosophy is kind of this cool thing that you get to kind of twist your brain into funny ways of seeing things. But done properly, I think you kind of find some clarity in life. And what's beautiful is this person has got a wealth of knowledge, not just from their own study or the schools they've went to and what they've done to become a rabbi, but also from thinking through and processing in ways that allows us to extract great lessons to apply to the world. So they've created schools, they've done some cool things. I can't even probably cover all of it. So I'm gonna let this person, as we kind of unfold into this, really talk about what the most important thing is to him, and I think this should be to us, as well as talking about the latest book, Creating a Life That Matters. So without further ado, and welcome to the show, Rabbi Mannis. How you doing?
Thank you so much.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you for being here and joining us. I know you're a busy guy. You got a lot going on, and so it's always fun to kind of rip people away from the busyness just for a
Oh,
moment and
this
kind of
is
let
what
their
I'm
mind.
busy with.
That's true. I guess you could frame it that. Well, I'm all for that. I like it. I like it. That's a good way to frame it. So I start this podcast with the same question every time, and you could take it wherever you'd like to take it. But let's say I'm sitting down at a coffee shop, and you're sitting there too. We don't know each other, and you turn for some reason start talking to me. Why should I listen to you?
Because you're polite.
That works. Yeah, that'll help. That's a good way.
There's no reason you should listen to me unless you've heard something you're interested in.
Hmm.
Uh,
That's a good way of framing it.
yeah, if I'm saying something that means, has some meaning for you, then fine. If not, don't listen to me.
It's a good way of framing it. I like that answer because pretty much I like to see who the person is, and what's cool about that is you're a person that people pay to listen to. Like they do a lot to get around to get the mind, and for you to say, hey, maybe you don't listen to me. I think it tells a lot about the character and a lot about the human and how you view yourself, right? Which is interesting because you have this book called A Life, Creating a Life That Matters. But I love for people to grasp like why you're the person to write that. And now I have this long list of things I could never fully give, we'll call it full credit to of what you've lived in your life. So you don't mind sharing with people like what is the life that you've lived so they can understand why the book was the one you were the one to write.
Well, I happen to be very fortunate that the bulk of my education was in Hasidic philosophy. Uh, Among observant Jews, Orthodox Jews, practicing Jews, there are different philosophies. The philosophy that I was given and I was raised with here in Brooklyn is so amazing that I couldn't wait as a teenager. I couldn't wait to go out there and share what I was learning. And I figured, like, okay, I can spend another year studying some more, but this information is dynamite. It's got to get out there. So I couldn't wait to start talking and teaching and sharing. I mean, this was before the internet. I never thought it would go, worldwide.
Yeah.
But the internet is a blessing for this purpose. It's the greatest. I mean, look what we're doing
Yeah.
just now.
Yeah. We're connected
Without the
across. I
internet,
don't really know
we
where
wouldn't be
where are
out.
you actually physically at?
So the philosophy is really a major shift.
Mhm. A big piece of it. What was unique about it? What is from I guess the other philosophies? What stands out as some of the? Because for me, obviously, I don't. I'm not around the Jewish community as much. I don't know if obviously was the right word there, but I'm not, and so I don't know about all the philosophy. However, I love to unpack things that I don't know about. I love to entertain ideas. Like I love to hear and feel. So, what in your words, I guess, is unique about your philosophy?
Okay, so I'd love to share this earthquake shift, both in religion and in psychology. Let's start with the psychology.
Okay.
For all of history, what made people do what they did? Need,
Mm. Need,
necessity.
desire. Mhm.
You got to plow the fields and put in the seed, and otherwise, you're not going to have what to eat. And you're going to starve. You got to fight the dragons. You got to fight the demons, and make some place safe for habit. For a family, and you got to build a house. You have to. You have to, and that's what made us do what we did.
Yeah.
Need. In recent years, needs have increased dramatically. We have too many needs. In the simple time, there was one need: don't die. Like,
True. Yeah.
don't
Alive.
get killed and don't starve.
Yeah.
It was pretty simple. So that's what you needed. You needed to survive. Today, needs are so complex. We need so many things. Every advertisement, every product, you need one of these. You have to have this. You must, and it's become so burdensome that it's causing depression.
Yeah.
Because if I think that I don't have what I need, besides the fact that I need it, I also get depressed over the fact that I don't have it.
Hmm.
So then what happens? Psychology comes along and offers a solution to your depression. But what does psychology actually say? Being, in a simplistic, you go for therapy, and the therapist says, no, 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 you don't know half of your needs. You have
Mm.
subconscious needs. You
Yeah.
have suppressed needs. Your mother never wanted you. Like, you have needs you never even thought of, and they're
Yeah.
much more serious than the needs you are depressed about. And I think, oh, come on, don't do that to me. You're adding more needs? How is this going to help me?
So yeah, exacerbates it, makes it
Yes,
worse.
yes. So then, out of desperation, I turn to religion. Maybe religion will help ease the burden. Turns out that religion's message is, oh, you think you have needs now? Wait till you die. In other words,
That's interesting.
even death is not going to be the end of your needs.
Yeah.
You
Yeah, you
need
need
to
to
be
have
saved, and
over
you
the head.
need to be in heaven. You need to avoid going to hell. Okay, come on. This is just too much. Just
Hmm.
too much.
Overwhelming. Yeah.
So here's what I think is the future of psychology. And this is the major shift of this philosophy that I was raised with. If you look inside, you will discover inside needs. You have outside needs and you have inside needs. That's true. But that's because you're not going deep enough. The needs that we have unconsciously or subconsciously, that's just the upper layer of our inner self. If you went a little deeper, what you would discover is that you really don't need anything. You have
Hmm.
no needs.
Interesting.
There is a place within us that is free of needs. I think that's where prophecy happens. The prophets who hear God, that's where it happens. In the part of their soul that has no needs and therefore can hear, can listen because it has no needs.
How do you access that place? Because I mean, that's nothing I've ever heard of, and it's interesting. I get that, like if you can go deep enough, and when you said like it's very interesting to frame it that way, but then I don't know if like I have a straight shot or understanding of how to even reach that place.
Yeah, reaching it is not easy, but at least knowing that it's there. And I think
Yeah.
that that's what we mean when we say, why can't you just accept me for who I am?
Hmm.
Everybody wants that.
Yeah.
Accept
True.
me for who I am. Okay, I'm willing. Tell me who you am. You can't. You can't
Yeah.
even tell
No,
me,
words don't frame it.
right? You'll give me
Yeah.
this detail, that detail. I like this. I hate that. That's not.
That's not
That's
who
not
you
who
are.
you am. That's
No.
not who you really are. So who are you really? I don't know.
Yeah, it's
The
true.
reason I don't know is because it's not a bunch of needs. It's the me that is free of needs. The reason we are free of needs is because we didn't ask to be born. And the reason we didn't ask to be born is because we don't need to be born. But do I need to be here in this world?
No, there's no need. Not specifically. No.
I don't need.
Mm-mm. No, I'm here.
People who are not born never complain. Did you notice? Nobody
What
said,
about people that
hey,
say
how
they
come
need
I
to be born?
wasn't born?
Yeah.
No, if
Never
you're
hear that.
not born, you're fine.
Yeah.
You're missing nothing.
Hmm.
So all the needs that drove us for all of history was ultimately the need to survive. You got to live.
Yeah.
But today there's been a shift. People all over the world are suddenly waking up and saying, I need to live. I like it,
Hmm.
but I don't need this.
Yeah.
So all of a sudden, death is not the big threat that it used to be.
You can see it that way. What about the people who maybe they believe they need you? Like my kids need me to survive when they're newborns. Like, does you being needed create a need to be here at times?
Ooh, you're on. Yeah, yeah, yeah. You're getting ahead of me here.
Oh, sorry.
It's not that I am needy, but what makes my life really meaningful is that I am needed. But if it was just me and nobody needed me for myself, I can do without all of this. I don't need
Yeah.
any of it.
Well, yeah, it makes sense because like a lot of people will let themselves down, but they don't let other people down.
And people who get depressed, very often the solution is go help somebody else.
Be of service.
Yeah. Okay. So,
Interesting.
why don't we need anything? Because we don't even need to be born. So now, all of a sudden, the neediness doesn't make sense. I have to go to school when I'm a child so that I can get into high school. And I have to go to high school and get a good report card so I can get into college. And I have to get into college because I got to get a good job. And I must have a good job because I have to make money. And I have to make money because I have to pay the mortgage. And all of a sudden, people are saying, excuse me, how did I get those responsibilities? Did I ask to be born? Did I agree to be born? Did I sign a contract? What do you mean I have to? I don't have to nothing. So there's this guy in India who took his parents to court a couple of years ago, 2 years ago.
Really?
He took his parents to court, suing them for all of his expenses for the rest of his life
Hmm.
because you gave birth to me without my consent. Sounds
Did he
funny?
win?
At first, it sounds funny, but then you think about it.
Yeah.
Hey, the guy's onto something here.
Yeah, he definitely is. Did he win the case? I'm curious.
No, both his
Okay.
parents were lawyers and they out lawyered him.
Gotcha. Very, very interesting.
I
But
think
what
there,
what about those who say life's a gift? Like, so like, yeah, it wasn't, needed, but people will say life's a gift.
well, for what?
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, I guess, yeah, there's experiences that because when you frame it in a way of like, if I didn't exist, I wouldn't have any needs. I'm like, okay, I got that side, but now I'm here, and it's like, well, I got the opportunity, if I frame it that way, to experience great things, conversations, great food, relationship, these kind of things.
Right.
But yeah, I guess if you don't care too much about those, then it's all a burden.
See, but that leaves you very fragile.
Yeah.
I enjoy certain parts of life, they're great.
Mhm.
But then there are other parts of life I can do without.
No, yeah, I'd
So
agree.
it depends on which one is getting stronger, the bad news or the good news. If the bad news starts to get heavy, skip the good part, let me out of here. And
Yeah.
that's depression.
Mm. Yeah, that makes sense.
Everybody who's depressed has good parts in their life that they could be enjoying,
Yeah.
but the negative stuff has overwhelmed it, and I don't need this. I don't need this.
Mhm.
Even children are saying this. 10-year-olds, you tell him to clean up his room. He says, "Hey, I didn't ask to be born. So don't look at me." I mean, it's like you invite me to a really expensive restaurant, and then you tell me to pay the bill.
Pay the bill, yeah.
How did that happen?
But what if you came? Because here's an interesting thing I'm seeing. Because I'm looking through my kids. I'm like, okay, my kids, you come in this life, and we do a lot as parents to make sure life is good and enjoyable. We don't rob them of their hardships, right? We put them. We'll call them. We subject them to difficulties that they can handle. But at the same time, I see you're saying it's like they didn't choose that. Like your kids didn't choose to be born and choose to have this. And but it's interesting. Like, so what do you let the kid just check out? Like, do
Ah,
you? How do you navigate that?
okay. So the first thing is, I am so liberated. All this burdensome neediness, all of a sudden I'm free. I don't need anything. It's so liberating.
Mhm.
Not only that, now you can't intimidate me. Say, oh, if you don't do this, you're going to die. All right. See, it doesn't make sense anymore to live my life so that I don't die. There's something wrong with that whole concept.
Yeah. I would agree with that. Yeah. I would say that it doesn't make sense to live to not die, but you're living for something, but it can't be just to not die.
Exactly. So to tell me better do this or you'll die, that's not saying anything. It doesn't work anymore. You tell young people today, don't mess with drugs; it might kill you. They look at you like, yeah. So what's your point?
Mhm.
Yeah, it might kill me. So that's the reality of today.
Yeah. It's interesting.
So the first thing is psychologically, I am unburdened
Mhm.
because I don't need this. My mother doesn't love me. I don't need it.
Mhm.
I don't need it.
Yeah. And we can tie it to everything. It's interesting because let's say you have a person like, let's say a high level athlete who is, they do feel that that life's a gift, the game they get to play is a gift, but then they really want to earn it sound. We're in the NBA finals right now. I don't know if you follow basketball at all, the Boston Celtics, right? And the Warriors. I'm going to the game tonight. It's almost like saying like, but you don't really need that championship. So how do you, I guess, how do you live with that mentality if you've chosen to stay alive? If you've chosen to not live, to not die, like how do you use this thought process in active life?
Well, I think the other thing we're learning from uh, hard experience, people who are very excited about life for whatever reason, whether it's an athlete or a billionaire or a famous movie star, celebrity, and they're really living high. They're enjoying life to the maximum.
Yeah.
Catch them at a quiet moment, and they will tell you, I don't see the point. So
Yeah.
what?
Jim Carrey's famous for that.
Yeah. Now what?
Mhm.
And the suicide rate among these people is higher than in the third world country.
Yeah. Anthony Bourdain, Robin Williams. Yeah, it happens a lot.
So the pleasure that we do get from these things in life, they're a good distraction. They keep you busy. So you don't
Gotcha.
think about why am I here? But when you have a quiet moment, that question comes out and haunts you.
Hmm.
So if I'm not here to survive, to not die, then why am I here?
That's, yeah, it's kind of what my
That
question was. I framed
that
it
question
improperly.
is no longer a philosophy. It's a desperate question. Because if
Yeah.
I don't know why I'm here, I really don't need this.
Yeah. Is
So
that what led to the book of creating a life that matters? Because I feel like that's a great entrance into the, okay, so now what do I do? Like, if
okay,
that's the case, how
so
do I create a life?
that's the psychological part. Now let's talk
Gotcha.
about the religious part.
Okay.
For thousands of years, every religion tells you that you're in trouble, that you are dependent, that your life is fragile, and that you need God to protect you, to save you, to give you what you need. And so you have to beg Him, get down on your knees, and offer a sincere prayer. Maybe He'll like you enough to give you what you need. But He needs nothing. He's God. So the first half of the shift is my need. I don't believe it anymore. I don't need. I'm dependent on God? No, I'm not. What's the worst that can happen? I'll die? Okay, I don't need this. So, what am I dependent on for? What do I need?
You don't need anything. But what if, I guess the question, if it's a faith-based thing and you believe, you're going to have an eternity in one or the other, does that play into the conversation of the religious aspect there?
It's just another need.
Yeah.
I need to get into heaven. I need eternity. No, I don't. Leave me alone. I don't
Mhm.
need.
What if you believe you'll go to hell when you die? What if you believe that's a place? Wouldn't you not want to be there?
I don't want to die either, but I
Yeah.
don't need it. So, if you tell me live your life a certain way so that you don't go to hell, what are you threatening me? Threats don't
Hmm.
work anymore. Tell me why I should be here. Don't threaten me. It's a major shift.
Yeah, it's a big way of it's a complete different framing of how you live currently.
Yes.
It's a and it's almost like a separate from, I mean, 99.99% of society, because we all live in this space. Like you said, the marketing, the TV shows, you need this thing, you need that car, you need this for whatever status thing, because you need to have the approval of other people, but you don't really need any of the things you're saying you need. So it is very freeing. Yeah, I can see that. Religiously, I think it does. I'm still trying to find out in my own head, like the congruency, because I get what you're saying. Like, I don't need heaven, I don't need hell, I don't need to be here. But I think if you have a belief in a faith, it's hard to fully encapsulate that in saying, like, I may not have a need to be alive. Let's say I don't even have a need, to go to heaven, but I really don't want to spend an eternity in hell, right? So where does that? Because you're saying it's a threat. So yeah, it's like I'm not afraid of a threat because I have no needs. But in my head, I'm like, I don't want to go there, spend the eternity there.
But again, I should live my entire life to avoid hell.
No,
What kind of
see,
life
yeah,
is
that's
that?
wrong. I agree. I agree that because then you're not. Then if you do the things to get out of, you're not doing it for the right purposes. Then you're living a current hell on Earth while you're still alive because it's just like, "Ah, I'm doing this for this thing, and I don't even know if. I can see that. So are we getting to the point of the active? Because this is all very like it's thoughts, it's deep, and I go, okay, how do I apply it to real life? How do I live today when we get off this? How do you frame up the next stages of this day in a way that let me live in a way where I'm not just living to not die?
Okay. The only logical answer to the question is if I don't need to be here and I didn't ask to be born, then why am I here and why was I
Great question.
born? So I now know that it's not out of my need.
Hmm.
Well, then whose need?
Yeah.
And I can't say my parents because they were also born without their
Hmm.
consent.
Yeah.
I think
Sure.
that's why they threw it out of court.
Yeah.
The parents said, "What do you want from me? I wasn't asked either."
Yeah.
So here's the second shift. The second shift is that we got the whole thing backwards. Human beings are needy and God needs nothing makes no sense whatsoever.
Hmm.
Only God needs, because He's the creator. How can someone who creates an entire universe not need anything?
Yeah. You obviously felt the need to create a universe.
Yeah, a major project,
Yeah, a little bit.
which He does not need. How does that make any sense at all?
Yeah.
In fact, the person who says, I need, is acting like God. Oh no, only God needs. What makes you think you're God?
No.
God, the creator, has some major need, some vast eternal need. But you're a guest. You have no needs. You can come and go and wouldn't make any difference.
Mhm.
So here's how we've shifted it upside down. I am no longer needy, but God needs me.
Mhm.
So I am not needy, but I am very needed.
Mhm.
That's that's the positive side.
Yeah.
When I realize that I'm not here for my need, well, logical conclusion, I'm here because someone needs. I'm here for someone else's need. If it turns out that this is the creator of the world, the king of kings, etc., and he needs me, I like it. That's motivation. I can do for him. I don't have any other needs after that. So
It's a good way of
that's
framing
why
it.
I can live a meaningful life without satisfying my needs. That is so incredible.
Yeah, and it's life of service.
A life
So
of
it's you remove your
service.
needs. Yeah.
Mhm.
So it's yeah, it's you're needed.
But
You don't have
but
needs.
when
Yeah.
religion says live a life of service so that you'll go to heaven, now, don't do that to me. You're turning it back onto my need.
Mhm.
Lead a life of service so that you'll get the benefits. No, when you're serving, someone else gets the benefit. Otherwise, you're not really serving.
So there is no altruism, you're saying,
There is
or
no
should be.
selfishness.
Yeah. Okay.
So let's take a look. I
Yeah.
need to eat. Not true. It's not true. It's plagiarism. I am not the one who needs to eat because I need to stop eating.
Most of us do.
Yeah, and I can't, right?
Yeah.
In other words, if it was mine, if it was my need, wouldn't I be able to choose?
Mm. This is going back to the separation of like, who are you?
Yeah.
Because really, if you're saying like, I don't need to eat because there's no definable I. My body needs to eat because that way it stays
And who
functioning.
and who made it that way? Not
I
me.
didn't make it that way.
No.
Yeah.
If I designed myself, I would not be dependent on vegetables.
Yeah. Right.
I mean, why would anybody want that?
Yeah. I
Why
don't
would
know.
I need to sleep half my life away?
It's funny that actually it's true. Scientifically, there is no definitive outcome as to why sleep is so necessary. We just know we die if we don't do it.
Yeah. Which means it's a handicap, not a need.
Hmm.
It's like I need it like a hole in the head.
Yeah, it's true.
So, again, what conclusion do I come to? It's not my need to eat. Whoever designed me this way needs me to eat.
Hmm.
Any feature in a car is not because the car needs it, the manufacturer needs it.
Yeah.
So, I need to eat? No. I need to sleep? No. I need friendship? No. But I am programmed that way. that without it I
Exactly.
can't live. But who did that? Not me.
But if I exist in this I will call it societal structure, this physical body, even if I didn't design it that way, it would still exist as something that me or I or my body needs. Even though I don't want to need it, I may still need it. Would that be correct?
Yeah, it
By
is
design.
necessary, but it's not my need.
Okay, I see that.
I don't own this need,
Yes.
and I don't want responsibility for it. Like,
But you're
don't
chained
blame
to it,
me
isn't it? Yeah. It's like I
because
don't want it, but I'm
because
still chained to it.
I didn't ask for this.
Yeah.
So imagine a person wakes up in the morning and his first thought is, so what does God need me to do? Eat? Okay, I'll eat.
Hmm.
It is so not only liberating, it's inspired. It's a the whole thing is a celebration
Hmm.
because there's no weight on my shoulders because I don't need anything,
Yeah.
and yet everything I do can be serving Him, which makes it noble. Here's a quick little example. This kid, teenager, goes out of the country to a school overseas. He lands and he goes into the office where the dean is. This is a religious Chabad school. And he says, I need to call my mother. Which phone can I use? And the dean says to him, you need? He says, wait, you didn't hear me? Yes, I need to call my mother. And the dean says, you need? And he thinks quickly and he says, my mother needs me to call her. Which phone can I use? And the dean says, good. That's your first lesson. Stop
Mm-hmm.
lying. A teenage boy on an adventure overseas does not need to call his mother.
Hmm.
So when he said, I need to call my mother, don't do that. Don't plagiarize. It's not your need, it's your mother's need. So
Hmm.
talk straight. You don't need to call your mother, but your mother is sitting by the phone waiting to hear that you arrived. So the same thing is true with God. I need to eat. I need money. I need health. What are you talking about? Those are God's needs. Why are you plagiarizing?
So how do you frame this in a way that people can get out of that space? Because it's so ingrained in everything we do to say we need. It's almost like we've taken on the fact that somebody else needs, blank. Like, uh, like for example, today we're gonna go to the bass. My kids need me to drive them out there. Like I don't need to drive them out there, but yeah, the kids do. But I would say I need to drive my kids to practice because I feel in my head that's my duty to do that thing. Although it's in servitude, the language is what you're saying is the actual thing. Because the kids need me to drive them. I'm not going to track practice. Like I'm not going to go run, but there is a need from me.
Hmm. It
Yeah,
is much better to be needed than to be needy
I would agree with that too. Yeah,
because it's
100%.
true.
Yeah.
We are
So how do you work?
needed and we are not needy.
Yeah.
So when I pile on a bunch of needs that aren't even true, of course it's going to clog up my system. I'm going to choke on
Mhm.
it.
Yeah. So how do you work out of that? How is somebody work in a direction to diminish the feeling of their own needs or to live in a way? Because it's a philosophy that's not brand new. Is what I'm finding out now. Although I've never heard of this, which is interesting, and all this. But also, I'm not Jewish. I can like operate in that world. Why is this something that I'm only hearing about now? And my late
Come
30s.
on, you asked for a shift. I gave you a shift.
Oh, I'm all for it. I'm just trying to figure out where it's been. Like, and
Ah,
it's the
right,
crazy thing is we
right.
haven't heard of it before,
Yeah, it only took us 5,000 years to figure this out.
right? Yeah, chunk of time.
Now, let me give another example.
Yeah.
When the chips are down and we get sobered, we realize this and we've known it all along. For example, a surgeon who loses a patient.
Hmm.
He did his thing, he tried, and the patient died on the table. How does the surgeon handle that?
It depends on how it took place. If he feels like he's at fault, he feels depressed, he beats himself up. He says, I needed to save them, or some of that same realm. Whereas really the person at the table needed him.
But in the end, the doctor is going to continue being a doctor because he's going to attribute it to forces beyond himself.
Mm. Yeah.
And if he believes in God at all, he'll say, "Yeah, God decided, not me." So when you fail, you realize this is not your plan. It's not your God did it.
Hmm.
But when you succeed, it's all your credit. Come
It's
on.
all you.
Right?
Hmm.
So we know. Bottom line is, I didn't create the world. It's not my world. It's not my design. And that's why we always asked, what is the purpose of my being here? How do you know there's a purpose? Isn't that
Because
an
you're here.
assumption?
Yeah.
You assume
Yeah.
there's a purpose? How do you know? Maybe there's no purpose.
Yeah. I I've actually said that. I don't know recently when I said it, but I'm like people ask what's the meaning of life, and I'm like the fact that we don't have a definitive meaning. I don't know if there's a purpose. It's just like it floats. But it's the only thing I can think of is to be of service. I've said that. Like I think it's just to do things, to have good experiences, to show up in ways that better other people's lives. Because I have that feeling of I feel good when I do something for somebody else. I serve somebody else.
But where does the question come from? Why do you need a purpose? Go have some fun. What are you getting so heavy?
Yeah.
What is the purpose? Who says you need a purpose? You're here, enjoy it till you die.
Yeah.
No. There's something in the human being that cannot accept that.
Yeah. Because we
People
want
become
that. We want
suicidal
everything.
if they can't figure out why they're here. I mean, literally, if I don't feel needed, I will not stay here.
Yeah. I mean, so then do we create? I mean, do some of us, let's say you don't believe in a God, but people obviously are not believing in God and still functioning. What are they implanting, creating a purpose?
Yeah. The fact that everybody in all of history has asked, what is the purpose of life, proves that there's a God,
Hmm.
or proves that God has a purpose. So, where do we get this notion that there is a purpose and that we need a purpose? Because there is. It's not a figment of our imagination.
Hmm.
Like, no one would ever be homesick if they never had a home.
True.
So, why would you need a purpose for your life if there was no purpose?
Yeah.
Are you just torturing yourself for nothing?
For no reason. Yeah.
Hmm?
It's almost like it's programmed and ingrained at such a deep level.
So, on some very deep level, we sense that there's a purpose, and if I can't figure out what it is, it drives me crazy.
Hmm.
It's like knowing that I have a very important appointment, but I can't remember with who.
Yeah.
That would drive you crazy.
So how do we find it? I mean, where does it pop up? Or we live in pursuit of it?
That's what the Bible is. Here's your third shift.
Mm.
Everybody thinks the Bible is a set of laws to govern your bad behavior, to prevent you from destroying the world, or to get you to heaven, whatever. No, God is the one who's needy, and He told us what He needs in the Bible.
Hmm.
It's all a description of Him, what He loves, what He hates, what gives Him pleasure, what makes Him angry. It's an autobiography of God. Now I know what I can do for Him. I can give charity. I can avoid idol worship. I mean, there's a whole list of things that I can do for Him that He really needs. Now,
Yeah.
now I don't need to have needs anymore. I've got a life without needs because I am needed.
Mm.
So that is the huge shift, both in religion and in psychology.
Yeah.
Psychologically, I am not the needy one. Religiously, God has a supreme need, and no one else has a right to needs.
Hmm.
It's a divine thing to have a need.
Yeah. It's a very, very interesting thing to put in that framing. Because if it was never a need, how do we create the language? How do we create the framing? Where did it get implanted that we do? Because if it was never there, we never had it, we never had the need. It was always right. Where was the seed planted for all of us to have this assumption that we do have needs?
I think it started off pretty noble, but it deteriorated. Like, for example, the boy who says, I need to call my mother.
Hmm.
Does he?
No, not in the framing there. No, mom needs him to call because he has no specific need to be in contact with her, and
Right.
she can't do anything for him right now unless he misses her. But even then, I guess that he wouldn't, if he didn't have needs, he wouldn't miss her.
Hmm? But she needs him to call.
Hmm.
Knowing that she needs him to call, doesn't that mean that he has to call?
Doesn't specifically know. I guess.
This is how it started. God
Yeah.
told us what he needs, and we thought, well, can't say no to him.
Yeah. See that?
Can't say no to him. So I must do this. Not I need it, but I'm compelled to do it. Because how do you say no to God?
Yeah. Don't.
How do you say no to your mother knowing that she's sitting anxiously by the telephone?
You don't. But that's interesting because then if we're saying that only, needs are for the divine, my mom's not divine. My mom's not God. So how does that work? Should we, I guess, give to the needs of those who aren't God?
Yes, as long as it's not you.
Everybody else.
Anything that is needed of you is divine.
Ah, okay. Frame it that way, then. Yeah, that does make
So
sense.
originally, when a religious person would say to his children, you must pray, what he meant was, God is waiting. Don't keep him waiting.
Hmm.
But then you must became selfish. I must. I need this. This is about me. It was never about you.
Yeah. It must be very hard for you to operate in this world, then, huh? Like to watch people see things, because it's got to be frustrating if you understand that, right? To even see somebody on the corner in Brooklyn, we'll call it anywhere. Like, how do you operate and function? Like, it doesn't frustrate you or anything. Like, how does that work?
It is. It is. It's very sad when people say, "I'm so miserable. My life is so miserable because I need." Why are you doing this to yourself?
Mm,
You need not be miserable because you don't need what you're crying about. So
yeah.
knock it off. It's unnecessary, your suffering. But on the other hand, the fact that I have something to offer, to say, you know what, maybe you shouldn't be thinking about your needs, you should be thinking about who needs you. And they light up. Say, wow. Yeah, but what about my need? So, no, no, no. You don't have one.
Hmm.
Whatever is hurting you, it's all God's plan. You're
Yeah.
hungry? Well, guess who did that?
God.
Yes.
Hmm.
And that's why you can be confident. If God created the need to eat, He will provide. He will give you what to eat. It's his project.
I see how you're doing it now. Yeah. Okay. I
So it's
see where
not
it's
like
going.
you need to eat and he doesn't care.
Yeah.
No, he needs you to eat and you don't care.
Mhm. I get it. Yeah, because when I'm in full, I don't care to eat, but it tastes good.
It's like
What's the
children.
separation between, say,
Children never need to eat. You got to
yeah,
force them to eat.
This is true. They keep running around. I do the same. If I'm working and enjoying my day, I haven't eaten since breakfast. But I'm like, my body's saying, "Hey, you need to eat." And I'm going, I do have to eat, but I don't care to. It's not on the top of my mind right now. But
Right.
what do you how do you frame the difference between need and want, right? Because there are things that I know I don't need, I guess, in the framing of that, but I may want them. Like, I don't know, we may want a new car, or, or want to have a good meal with my wife on a date. Like, what about wants and how do those flow in there?
Well, want comes under the category of freedom of choice. You
Okay.
choose to want, or you choose what to want. Need implies that you have no choice.
Okay. I see. Okay. That does make sense. To say need is, yeah, I think that's why, yeah, the separation of them, for sure there. But then we have a lot of wants, don't we? But even then, I think if you want and don't have, it still leads to the same thing as need and don't have, which is that discomfort inside.
So we should view eating and sleeping and all of these needs, we should view them as a handicap.
Mm,
I don't need this. I don't need crutches when my leg is broken. I need my
yeah,
leg to heal.
yeah. I
But in
like
the
not just,
meantime, I'm dependent on crutches.
yeah,
So I am dependent on food. I don't need this,
mhm,
not my need.
yeah,
So every time you get hungry, you think, why did God do this? What does God gain by my eating? Why did He design me this way?
mhm.
And already
I
you're a
know,
better person.
yeah, it's a good way of framing it. I know every time that we eat, we pray. So maybe it's, he needed me to, to sit down and pray before we eat.
And that's why. That's why. By praying, you're saying, this is not my need. You set it up this way. So I'm acknowledging my mother needs me to call,
Yeah,
not I need to call. So instead of saying I'm going to eat now because I need to, no, I'm going to eat now because God designed me with this.
hmm. And if you want to do something, it's a choice within free will.
Mhm.
But you can have a
Now
choice
you
without
may
choosing.
want what God imposes on you. You know, there are people who are sick. They love crutches. They want to be crippled.
Mm,
It makes them feel important or something. You know,
yeah, yeah. It's
or
good.
kids who can't wait to get glasses. Why
Yeah.
would you want glasses?
Nobody does. Yeah, that's interesting. This has really opened my mind a different way. This is going to be a fun conversation for me and my wife because my wife and I like. I love to have conversations like this with great people like you, great minds, and we just kind of unfold and unpack. Because I think there's a journey that's enjoyable for me to unfold like other people's minds, perspectives. This is a really cool philosophy to think through because it doesn't undermine or diminish the way I live my life. I think completely, it definitely does throw a wrench in it, but not a bad one. Because I'm like, yeah, if you think about it, you frame it differently. I already live in a way that is in my mind like towards faith. I put God first, and so it's just a matter of it's framing words different and definitely checking in and saying, am I living in a space that is true with my needs or lack thereof? We'll call it.
So all of a sudden, every detail in your life is significant.
Yeah.
It's all about God.
Mhm.
I eat because God wants me to. I sleep because God wants me to. Now, I
Yeah.
also want to, in
Yeah.
that
That helps.
case.
Yeah. Yeah.
I just happen to like sleeping. But
Yeah.
but it's not my project and it's not simply me being tired.
Yeah.
There's a divine purpose to it.
Yeah. There is.
And I know
And I
that's
have,
true because I didn't ask for this.
but it's still part of the thing. Yeah. I'm gonna enjoy your answer for this last question. I feel this is the last question I ask everybody, and I almost feel like you're probably gonna like reframe the question. But here's the question: what promise did God make to the world when He created you?
He made many promises, but the significant one, if you be with me, you be mine, you make me complete. That is a huge compliment.
Yeah, it's a real good one. That one that's I've never had that one obviously because for the first time somebody you framed it in a way that is it was for God. The promise was for him. Like he made a promise for himself through you.
Of what, yeah, what you can do for him.
Yeah.
You can make him complete by just being his.
Yeah. I like that, man. I like that. I like you. You're a good guy, man. You got a good framing. Yeah, there's few people in conversations I have that get my wheels spinning at the level they are right now in a good way. So I
So,
appreciate this.
so you mentioned
Where?
talking. You mentioned talking to your wife about it.
Yeah.
That's what marriage is supposed to be. I come into the marriage not needing anything,
Hmm.
but if you need something, I'm here.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I am needed in a marriage. I am not needy. And there goes all marriage counseling.
Mm.
It's over.
Yeah. It'd be done.
Done.
Easier said than done, but yeah, I can see the framing of that for sure. I think it's how we show up in our marriage now. We have a long journey, but we've gone through a lot. And at this point, I tell that people, like my friend, I said, she's a puzzle I chose to solve. Like I find out what she needs and how I can serve her, and in return, I get the things that I may want or I think I need, we'll call it, without having to ask specifically and straightforward for them. Yeah, I'm not needy in that sense. That's
Particularly
awesome.
the husband. The husband has only one need,
Hmm.
that his wife be happy.
Yeah, yeah, they do say happy wife, happy life, right?
Yeah. And why is that so important? Because I'm here to give her. If she's not happy, then I'm not giving properly. The same with God.
Yeah,
Why serve God? Why worship God? Why obey God? Because that's what He needs.
yeah.
So I'm not
Well,
asking for a reward. I'm not asking for medals. I'm not even asking for heaven. But if I can do for Him, I don't need to be bribed or
yeah,
threatened.
I
How,
like it.
how can I say no to Him?
Yeah, well said.
So
So
stop
where can
threatening
I?
me.
What's that?
Stop threatening me. Just tell me what you need.
I like it. Well said, man. Where can I send people to get more of this information, follow you, pay attention to your work?
Online, it's good to know.org.
It's good to know that work.
It's
Awesome.
good to know.
It's good to know. Well, thank you so much for hanging out. We have come to our time, which is it went fast. It's in a good way. I like that. Thank you so much, seriously, for coming and spending time hanging out with us and sharing your wisdom and your thoughts and your perspective. It's beautiful. Those of you guys around the world who enjoyed this conversation, you think that somebody else would enjoy it, it could benefit their life, by all means, please share the episode. Click a button, put it in their inbox, or at least put it on your feed so somebody can see it who doesn't know they need it, but maybe they do. That's a conundrum. But anyways, thank you so much for hanging out. Thank you, obviously, Rabbi. And as always, make the most of your off shift moments so you can make shift happen. Anthony Trucks and Rabbi Mannis signing off. Hey, thank you for tuning in to the Shift podcast. I pray that we gave something amazing to your life. And if you found this episode served you in some way, I would love if you could share it with people you know, people you love, as well as your community, because you never know who needs that simple little seed that can grow into something amazing for their life. And the actual training doesn't stop here. If you want your free copy of the show notes sent to you after every episode so you can get the major points consolidated down, simply go to textanthony.com and message the word notes. Till next time, make shift happen.